I'm back with the Tuesday crew. Coach Shauna and Megan are joining me this time for an upper body focus day. We jumped right into what I call the pre-fatigue. Grab light weights for the first few sets of the day and perform relatively isolated muscle movements at high reps to drive tons of blood to the muscles. These movements aren't meant to tax the nervous system or really demand a lot of effort. The reps are slightly higher, and this is a terrific way to bring an athlete's awareness to the focus muscles and movement patterns of the day. What this pre-fatigue consisted of was 2 sets of each of the following exercises: a Bradford press for 15 reps, a rear delt cable fly for 20 reps, and a plate full raise for 20 reps as well. I happen to just love these 3 movements in combination on any day that there's going to be a lot of shoulder work for pressing and just general upper body works. They cover a lot of different positions for the shoulders, and they hit all the heads of the deltoid and include some upper back muscles. And ultimately, who doesn't love a satisfying pump to get the workout started? So after a prep session like this, in our Perform training track of Persist, 1 to 2 times per week, I love to get training started with a moderately intense conditioning piece, as opposed to jumping right into some weightlifting. It feels really satisfying to have some hard conditioning under my belt early in the workout. This also lets me bring some of my best energy to the conditioning work, rather than always making it the last thing that I do on a training day when my energy might be depleted or a little zapped from my strength training that day. So the 3 of us jumped into this hot start. It was an EMOM for 15 minutes. That means every minute on the minute, we rotated through 3 different stations. The first station involved performing dual kettlebell pendlay rows right into some deficit push-ups with our hands either on the kettlebells, or some of us were just doing them on the floor. That was 10 reps of each. So on the first minute, 10 kettlebell pendlay rows plus 10 push-ups. Then on the second minute, we each jumped onto a bike and we pedaled for 8 to 12 calories. More calories if you're more powerful, fewer calories if you're less powerful, really just aiming for about 30 to 40 seconds of work. Then we rested, and on the third minute, you were to complete 10 to 15 toes to bar or a hanging knee tuck. Each of us commented on just how challenging the core movement was in this hot start. See, stringing together 15 toes to bar unbroken on each minute for 5 rounds was 75 total reps, and that was my biggest hurdle. But there were options to scale back. Some of us were doing knee tucks, and you also had the option to go lower on the rep scheme, maybe as low as 10 per minute, so that you had the ability to complete these exercises with high quality and not go to failure.
I've been vibing with the crew. Ain't no silence, that's the move. If you killing on the vibe, you gon' meet the front door. Goodbye.
Now, with the hot start behind us and our bodies were fully warmed up now, and then some, of course, we jumped right into the 4th week of a pressing strength progression in this training program. This week called for 5 sets of 4 reps on the low incline bench press. So Shauna and Megs paired up together, used the same bar, while I opted to go over to the Smith machine and actually perform a Z press. So I swapped out a movement altogether. I've been feeling a lot more comfortable with this style of pressing, specifically on the Smith machine, so I wanted to take advantage of it while I was at the gym that particular day, since I don't always train there. Sometimes I'm training at home, or I don't have that Smith machine set up. Now, after this core lift of the day, I took a little bit of a departure from the prescribed strength balance work that we had in the program, so that I could work with both Shauna and Megan on some movements that we don't typically get to dive into together. We were working on the seated cable row and on the barbell shrug. For the barbell shrug, we also used the Smith machine, since I had already set up some of my weights there and it just seemed convenient. So here we were doing a superset of seated cable rows and barbell shrugs. And since this workout had really called for, in general, upper body pushing and upper body pulling, I wanted to hit a variety of pulling positions with these 2 exercises to complement the presses that we already had done. On the seated cable row, we were aiming for the 10 to 15 rep range, and on the barbell shrug, we were actually hitting 15 to 20 reps on each set. On the seated cable row, I was specifically cueing both Shauna and Megan to let their shoulders really roll forward to get maximal stretch in the back prior to each concentric rep pulling the handle towards their chest. I find that this variation or this slight cue on the seated cable row works really well to get a great stretch in the lats and a great stretch in the rhomboids while the shoulders come forward. And with a big stretch, you can be guaranteed to get that much more out of the contraction on the way back. So after we had wrapped up those 2 exercises in superset fashion, we were here at the end of our workout where we had a 15-minute continuous effort conditioning piece that was going to involve a lot of bodyweight gymnastics and cardio. Now, this session has been full of lifting from start to finish. So it was nice to pair this with a conditioning workout that was just bodyweight focused. One theme within functional bodybuilding that we often come back to is balance. We like to balance intensity and submaximal work. We balance movement patterns. There's a balance of heavy and light. There's a balance of long and short. And it always also includes a balance of weighted and body weight exercises. At the end of the day, your effort that you give on everything is what's going to dictate how much progress you make. But without balance, this key idea in your training design, high levels of effort in only 1 or 2 dimensions of fitness, this might leave you destined to plateau or even have a setback. In a fitness world where variety often gets pushed as the recipe for continuing to make progress, the reality is that if you have adequate training balance, you can progress indefinitely. So this final 15-minute piece was supposed to be performed at submaximal effort. We like to say 15 minutes at 85% effort, which means I want you to push hard, but you should stay in control for the entire 15-minute duration. What we're trying to do is teach people not to come out of the gates so hot in the first 3 minutes that they end up spending the last 12 minutes of this 15-minute exercise suffering. The movements that we had today started with 4 strict pull-ups, 6 dips or handstand push-ups, 8 hand release push-ups, and finally about a 60 to 70 second bike for 600 meters, or for the women, it was 480 meters. Now, you'll see some different variations that we were doing. We picked skill levels within these bodyweight exercises that challenged us. I did an L strict pull-up while Megan and Shauna did different variations of their strict pull-up. I did a ring dip. They were doing other variations of either dips or handstand push-ups. So after 15 minutes of continuous work, I think we had each completed maybe 6, 7, possibly even 8 rounds. I wasn't counting. I was more focused on just staying steady throughout. Now that was a wrap to our session. If you want to try out training just like this, then be sure to give Persist a free trial. You can get access to this very training track called Perform and get guided through workouts from start to finish. Just click the top link in the description below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment if you'd like. I'd love to engage with you down there, and I'll see you next time.